Welcome to the race briefing for the 2023 Old Mutual Wealth Double Century. Team at the Cape Town Cycle Tour Trust and the staff of Pedal Power Association are looking forward to welcoming you to Swellendam, and we're looking forward to an exciting day out on the road. For those of you that don't know, the recent floods brought about some fairly substantial damage in the area, and we're pleased to say that the authorities have been working tirelessly over the last couple of weeks to get the route in shape. Race pack and number collection. Team captains or representative must collect the team's race numbers at one of the following dates. You should see these on screen now. So head out to one of those that suits you best and collect the goodies for your team as well as the accreditation for your car. Please remember, number collection will be done by team and not by individual rider. So come prepared to carry all of the rider offering and bags that are for all 12 riders on your team. There'll be no registration on the morning of the event. Team changes and substitutions can be done at registration at a cost of 200 Rand per person. Please note that this does not apply if your team entered on a corporate entry. Changes will be made for the corporate teams free of charge. Team vehicle accreditation packs will only be handed out once the car and driver details are provided. So please folks, come prepared with the details of your driver as well as the registration number of your car. Each of the riders will receive the following as part of our rider offering and compliments of Old Mutual Wealth and some of our other sponsors. An Old Mutual Wealth drawstring bag, an undervest, unisex, a pair of Chivita socks, a water bottle, a copy of Bicycling Magazine, a 15ml squirt lube sample, barrier balm sachet, and snacks from Food Lovers Market. This year's Bri Pack, sponsored by Food Lovers Market, will be available to collect from registration on the Friday to take back to your accommodation as well as on Saturday. So please remember that that can be collected by your team captain after the event on the Saturday, or your driver, or alternatively at the registration venue on Friday in Swellendam. Each team will receive a voucher that is numbered. If you're collecting your Bri Pack on race day, there will be a 15-minute park and ride in Station Street where you can quickly park and collect your team's Bri Pack, which will be handed out on the grass next to the hall. Look for the Food Lovers branding, you can't miss it. This Bri Pack is valued between 1,500 and 2,000 Rand. It includes chops, boerewors, chicken, marinade, bread rolls, salad dressing, and chips, etc. There are halal options available to those riders who would prefer the halal option, and this would have been indicated by your team captain. Photo stage, this will be open from 4 o'clock in the morning of the event until 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and will be on a first come, first served basis. Please folks, no bikes on stage. There will be bike racks just before you go up where you can park your bikes. Your team photo will be sent to your team captain, and this is courtesy of Old Mutual Wealth. There'll be a sample in your bag at race pack registration of squirt, and there will also be lube stations at the Swellendam Showgrounds on Friday the 24th for that last bit of TLC to your bike. That lube station will also be open early morning on Saturday as you head out onto the road. Race day, the start. Please, very important to note the road closures, especially if you are planning on traveling from towns outside of Swellendam into the start in the morning. This includes the Trudeau Pass as well as the Kochmanskloof Pass, both of which have road closures. The Trudeau Pass, which is the one that takes you from Barrydale through to Swellendam, will be closed from 5 a.m. in the morning. So if you're coming from Barrydale, you need to get into that pass before 5 a.m. If you're traveling from Montague through the Kochmanskloof Pass, that will close at 9 a.m. Again, please note, we've had riders in the past that have been caught in Montague and unable to get to the start. For a list of traveling times to Swellendam and full road closures, please see the event guide and our website. You will note all the road closures of the various roads around the route. Please note these carefully. Same procedure as last year. Teams will enter the showground from the Station Street side of the grounds. That's, for those of you new to Swellendam, the Gqeberha side or Port Elizabeth side. And the road will take you past the front of the showgrounds, and you will line up sequentially from there out on to the road where the start is. The reason we do this with the slower team starting first and the faster team starting last is to reduce our time and exposure on the N2, as well as making sure that the more social teams finish as early as possible. Teams will start every 30 seconds, and your allocated start time is your start time. Please note, if you are late to the start line for any reason, your start time would have started at the allocated time that you were allocated your slot. So just be aware of that and make sure that you and your team are there on time. Things you need to remember at the start: your official race number, your number board, your helmet, and your finish time timing board. Please note this is a new initiative. We have partnered with Finish Time. There will be a pamphlet in your race bag which will give you full details on how to attach the new timing board. So you don't need to run around at home looking for your orange timing chip, which we will not be using for the Old Mutual Wealth Double Century this year. Race day, the routes of the Old Mutual Wealth Double Century 2023. It's important to note that the Western Cape has undergone some serious rain over the last couple of months, and as a result, there are a number of potholes en route, as well as repairs that have had to be effected to certain parts of the road. There were rock falls on the Trudeau Pass, so the road is not in the kind of condition we would ideally have liked it. The authorities have spent an extensive amount of time over the last few months, or the last few weeks in fact, getting the road in as best possible shape as they can. But we're going to ask you to keep your eyes and ears open, listen for calls from your riders up front, and please point out any damage you see on the road to riders that are coming up from behind you. The key areas to watch out for, I will talk through as we go through the route. Is the traditional route. There are no detours this year. You will be leaving Swellendam out onto the N2, then heading down through Buffeljachtsrivier. Shortly after you pass through the town of Seerbrak, there has been a drop away in the road and a subsidence. The authorities have been working on that over the last couple of weeks, and we're hopeful that it'll be in tip-top shape as we pass through. However, just be aware there may be a slight detour around to the right-hand side of the roadworks taking place. So you're through Seerbrak, you're through the roadworks and onto the pass. We had some rock falls on the pass during the rains that we had. There is some damage to the road. It's not huge, but it does make for a little bit of a rough ride as you head up to the top of Trudeau. It's on the climb, so just keep your eyes open and make sure that the riders up front are warning the riders behind them. There are refreshment stations and feed zones en route. The first refreshment station, which will ostensibly be water, is at the top of Trudeau Pass at 32 kilometers. That's just to enable you to top your water bottles up as you head towards the first feed zone, which will be at the top of Opta Trudeau. The feed zone is kindly brought to you by our friends at Food Lovers Market, and you will see the feather flags as you approach the Trudeau feeding zone. If you are intending to stop, remember that your time does keep rolling when you're in that feed zone. After that, it's a 50k ride through to the team support zone at Ashton. As you exit the Kochmanskloof, where the left turn to Swellendam is, riders will pass over the timing mats and you will enter into a neutral zone. Please, it's important to remember that we're passing through the town of Ashton. It's the end of the month. People have been paid and the town is quite busy with farm labourers and farmers that have come in to do their end of month shopping, which is the reason we'll take you through the town in neutral and into the team support zone in Zandvliet Road. Exiting the team support zone, you'll be heading towards the town of Robertson. Just as you get to Robertson, there's a left turn at the circle, and here you will come across the first set of railway lines that you will cross. We will have mats over those lines, but exercise caution. And shortly after that is the second piece of road work that has been taking place, and that is a brand new circle that's been put in. Once again, exercise caution and hit that circle going around it to the left-hand side. From Ashton through to the next refreshment station is 30 kilometers, and that's at Rooibrug. Shortly after you pass Van Leuven Wine Farm, you will take a right turn and you will see the refreshment station on your left-hand side. Ostensibly, once again, this is just a water station for those that have run out of water or are looking just to top up before they get to the team support zone at Bonnievale. Speaking of the team support zone at Bonnievale, this is 15 kilometers further than the Rooibruch that you will pass. And you will enter once again into a neutral zone of 30 minutes. 30 minutes through that team support zone. Please exercise caution. There will be teams leaving, teams arriving. There will be team vehicles pulling out to head back to the finish. And we're asking riders, there's no racing in this period. It's the reason we give you the 30 minutes of neutral. So top up in the team support zone, because you'll be heading into the last 42 kilometers of the event. The last feeding station will be at Drew, and here you'll be able to top up with Coke and water, and we should have some light snacks for those of you needing to see your way through to the finish for the last 26 kilometers, which of course take you over those 3 wonderful little hills just to keep things real. In the event of extreme heat, we will put a temporary water station at the top of the second of the 3 climbs. So be aware that you will be able to top up with water, but this we will only implement in the event of the weather conditions being adverse, and that's on the heat side. A huge thank you to our sponsors of both the feeding stations and refreshment stations, Food Lovers Market and Peninsula Beverages, Coca-Cola. Race day, the route of the Old Mutual Wealth Double Century 2023. Just some tips for the route and some advice on the neutral zones that you're going to be passing through. Please remember to exercise caution as you're exiting Swellendam onto the N2. Important to note the following. Once you receive your seating, it's important to note that you need to look at what time you anticipate being at Montague or the entrance into the Koopmanskloof Pass. If you are going to arrive there before 9 o'clock in the morning, you need to ask to be reseated slightly later. The reason for this is that riders will not be allowed to enter into the Koopmanskloof Road and Koopmanskloof Pass until 9 o'clock. That is when the road closure comes into effect and cyclists will be allowed through. You will be stopped, you will not allowed to continue, and your time will keep running. Please check your start time, anticipate when you think you're going to be at Montague, and if you need to, get hold of the office and make sure that you're seated slightly later. The neutral zone, as I've mentioned in a previous brief, will be as you exit the Koopmanskloof Pass and take you into neutral through the town of Ashton. For this first neutral zone, we've allocated 40 minutes. That's 10 minutes to get through Ashton to the feed zone in Zandvliet, and then 30 minutes in the feed zone in Zandvliet. Please don't race to Ashton. It's extremely busy on a Saturday morning. It is the end of the month, and we are anticipating a large volume of people coming into town to do their end of month shopping. You may not exceed the speed limit of 30 kilometers an hour through the neutral zone. We will be monitoring this on the timing mats. The next neutral zone is Bonnievale. You will have 30 minutes in the Bonnievale feed zone, and that's with your team support vehicles. You can use all 30 minutes, or you can simply fill up your bottles and head straight out. That's totally up to you. We're often asked, why do we have to stop for 30 minutes? The truth of it is you don't have to stop for 30 minutes. In fact, you can enter and exit immediately, and your time will simply start rolling as you exit those neutral zones. The finish, you will finish at the top of Van Heerden Road. It's that last little kicker that we stick in there just to make sure your legs are working. From the finish line down Murray Street to the showgrounds is neutral. You will be crossing the main road and you may be asked to stop by the marshals to facilitate traffic flow. So just be careful and head down to the showgrounds where you will receive your medal, your Coca-Cola, and be able to relax on the field, get a nice cold beer, and war stories with your mates. Some additional areas on the route that we'd like you to exercise caution. The first is the descent of Trudeau Pass. It's not that technical and the road surface is in reasonable condition, but please exercise caution as you descend the pass. Keep your hands firmly on the handlebars in case of indentations in the road from some of the rockfalls that have taken place. The second is the long descent off the top of Op de Trudeau. It's a very long, straight descent and very fast. Folks, there is traffic coming towards you on the R62, so please exercise caution on that descent and stay on the left-hand side of the road. It's also a part of the route where some of the faster teams are going to be passing the slower teams, and we would ask the slower teams please to give the faster teams some space and stick to the left-hand side of the road. Once again, not a technical descent, but a very fast, long descent. The third of the 3 descents is the descent down to Montague with a sharp left turn. Please note that the road is not in good condition at this point. The authorities are going to see what they can do, but the road through the back of Montague is not in great condition, and please exercise caution. There may be some dust and sand on that left turn. There is gravel, so that is one that we would like you to keep your eyes open for. The left turn onto the Drew low-level bridge, which is just before the Drew water point, is also, while the bridge has been repaired, there is a certain amount of gravel on the corner. Please exercise caution going through that left turn and keep your eyes open for gravel. Rules of the road. This is an event that is held on public roads, and we do so at the behest of not only the public but the authorities. And we're going to ask riders please to obey some of the following rules. Do not ride more than 2 abreast. It is a team time trial, and we need to allow teams to pass others. If you're doing so in large, bulked up groups, it makes it very difficult for teams to safely pass you. So that's 2 abreast. The only exception to this is on the N2 as you leave Swellendam to the left turn just after Bavliagsrivier towards Seebrock. Single file on the N2. It's a short stretch, but we do ask riders to stick hard to the left-hand side. There will be large trucks and vehicles on that N2 heading north. No crossing the white line at any point, especially on the descents, but crossing of the white line will result in disqualification. Obey the marshals on motorcycles that will be en route. They are eyes and ears, and they will be reporting transgressions into our venue operations centre in Swellendam. Take note of caution signage and marshals indicating the caution zones. You'll see these very vividly as you descend the Trudeau Pass towards Berrydale. There will be 4 mechanical support vehicles provided by Old Mutual Wealth. These will be strategically placed at locations along the route. They will be able to supply basic mechanical assistance, and if you're in need of mechanical assistance and you're stuck on the route, please get hold of the VOC. The emergency number is located on your race number. Important to note, do not leave the spot that you were at when you reported to the VOC that you needed mechanical assistance. There's nothing worse than our mechanics, or our medics for that matter, driving up and down looking for an individual who's suddenly decided that they can actually continue having reported that they needed help. If you are going to move on, make that call to the venue operations centre before you do so, and just let them know that you are back and underway. Cut-off times. Cyclists are required to reach the finish line in Swellendam by 16:10. That's 10 minutes past 4. Cut-offs will be implemented along the route, and a sweep vehicle will indicate the rolling closure of the course. The rolling closure is calculated from the time of the last team that crosses the start line in Swellendam. Any cyclist found on the route after the cut-off time will face disqualification. The cut-offs are on screen now. Please remember, these cut-offs are not cut-offs that qualify you for a finishing time, but the cut-offs on the route. The allowed time for you to finish the event, excluding the 30 and 40 minutes in the 2 neutral zones, is 10 hours. Sweep options. Cyclists unable to complete the race anywhere else at the route should call the VOC and report that they are unable to continue, note their location, and a sweep vehicle will collect them at a point during the event. They will transport them back to the Swellendam showgrounds. Please understand that this is a 200-kilometre route, and the teams are starting over a period of 2.5 hours. So sweep vehicles will be there. They will pick you up. Please be patient. Please ensure that you call the VOC once you are in your support vehicle. So if you have pulled out at either of the 2 team support zones, please let the VOC know that you've withdrawn so that we know that you're not a rider that's missing. I think it's important to note now, one of the reasons for having a timing system, in as much as that it times riders on the route, it's about us managing risk, and we're able to know when riders are finished, when riders have passed certain points, and obviously if you're in your vehicle heading to the finish, we don't know. You may have stopped off or disappeared or been picked up by a motorist and taken to a facility. So please get hold of the VOC and let us know that you have withdrawn from the event. Team support zones and team support vehicle information. This information is vitally important to the drivers and support crew of the teams that are heading out onto the road. For directions from Swellendam to Ashton, and then from Ashton to Bonnievale, and then from Bonnievale back to Swellendam, you must view the support vehicle route map available on our website and in the event guide that will be mailed to all participants. Please note, seconding vehicles are not allowed on the route at any point other than the very short stretch from Bonnievale along the route until the riders turn left and the support vehicles will head towards Stormsvlei and then onto the N2. Ashton Team Support Zone. It is an approximately 40-minute drive for the team support vehicles to travel from Swellendam to Ashton along the R60. The team support zone is in Zandvliet Road in Ashton, located just after the Ashton Cannery, over that very fancy new bridge that the authorities have built, which didn't get washed away in the flood. We strongly recommend that all team support vehicles are in position by no later than 9:45. Limited water will be available towards the end of the team support zone for dropped riders or riders that have missed their team support vehicles. Now, drivers, please note that 10 teams are allocated per support zone, and you may park anywhere within your allocated space. The teams are numbered sequentially from 1 all the way through to 260. Please ensure that you park in the area that is demarcated for the 10 teams in which your race number falls. So drive through the team support zone and you will find them on the left-hand side of the road. So as we've said, that's 10 teams per zone. There are 25 zones or sections in each, and each of these zones or sections is 100 meters long. So look out for it, and don't be that guy that takes up all 100 meters. Remember, there are 9 other teams sharing that support zone with you. So keep your vehicle and your exposure to the distance to an absolute minimum. Team support vehicles will exit the feed zone in the same direction as the cyclists, and they will then turn right back towards Ashton Town. Cyclists will be turning left and heading towards Robertson. They will then follow the directions from Ashton through to the Bonnievale Team Support Zone. This information contained in your race pack. Team Support Zone in Bonnievale is located on the R317 and runs for a stretch of 2.7 kilometers, ending just before the Bonnievale cellar. The total time allocated from the start of the team support zone to the end is 30 minutes. As I've mentioned in a previous briefing video, you do not have to stop for 30 minutes. You may stop for 5 minutes and then leave. Your time will simply start as you exit the team support zone. The Bonnievale Team Support Zone is the only other section of the route that team support vehicles will be able to feed their teams. Once again, 10 teams are allocated per zone, and you may park anywhere within your number range. Once again, please leave space for the other team vehicles that will be in that zone with you. Support vehicles that are coming through from Bonnievale back to the finish at Swellendam, please note there has been a route change from last year. The first section remains the same. You will exit Bonnievale feed zone, turning right. You will follow the road with the teams. Please exercise caution as you travel with the teams. That's for a short stretch of 1 or 2 Ks. The teams will turn left and you will continue straight towards Stormsvlei along the R317. You will reach the N2 where you will turn left heading towards Swellendam. Travel along the N2 for 39 kilometers before turning left into Swellendam Street. Please note that this is not the first turning into Swellendam. It is not the second turning into Swellendam, but it is the third turning into Swellendam. It is the last turning that takes you into Swellendam, and it is the same road that the riders would have exited Swellendam on their way out. Once you've turned into Swellendam Road, follow the directions in your race pack to head down to the finish area at Swellendam Showgrounds, where for those teams that still need to, you can collect your Food Lovers Bri Pack. Team support zone rules. There's different accreditation for each support zone. Only 1 vehicle per zone. So if you are using 1 vehicle, which will go to both areas, you need to put both sets of accreditation on that 1 vehicle. If you have 2 vehicles, each vehicle will have its separate set of accreditation for the respective feed zones. Please note you may not have 2 vehicles for your team in a team zone. Space is limited and we need to be cognizant that there are other teams with vehicles. We would also encourage you not to have large trailers behind your car in these areas, as this will take up space, which we desperately need for other teams. Please be aware that you are in an area with the teams while they're in neutral. Some of the teams, especially towards the end of the event, are going to be tired, so please keep your eyes open, travel carefully, and head out of the team support zones in a way that doesn't endanger anybody. Rule infringements. Event officials and marshals on motorbikes will be monitoring cyclists and team support vehicles. All offences will be called into the venue operations centre and offences will be logged. If a complaint has been logged against a support vehicle, the team captain or the team support driver, they will be required to report to the VOC for an explanation post-race. We will be in touch with the team captain and the team driver via cell phone, which is why it is so important that we have the contact details of the team support driver. Also important to note is that a team support driver is as important as a team support rider. Infringements by team support vehicles will be treated as if they are team riders and could result in a team being disqualified if the team support vehicle is deemed to have broken the rules of the event. You've hit the finish line. It's at the top of a short climb, and then from there it's downhill to the showgrounds in Swellendam. It's neutral, so please take it easy. An opportunity to get your breath as you head down to collect your medal and your ice-cold Coca-Cola. Please note, it's Murray Street is the street that crosses Main Road or Voortrekker Street. There has been roadworks on the left-hand side of the road as you reach the main road or Voortrekker Street. You may be required to detour to the right of the roadworks. It's very sandy and was washed away during the recent floods. You'll then continue straight down Murray Street, left into Cooper Street, which is the same road you started in, and then left into the showgrounds. The first riders we're expecting in Swellendam at about 1 p.m. and the last riders should be in shortly after 4 o'clock. Charles Milner medals must be collected immediately after you cross the finish line in Van Heerden Street. Okay, so for those riders or riders new to the event, to qualify for a Charles Milner medal, teams must start with all 12 riders and the last rider of the team must finish within 10 minutes of the team's first cyclist crossing the line. The idea of the Charles Milner medal is to ensure that you work as a team to get the entire team to the finish. Finish venue map, which you will see on screen, details the layout that you will have at Swellendam Showgrounds. Please study this. There's a beer garden. There will be a prize giving in the main Bedouin tent at 4 p.m. And finishers medals will be awarded to all of those crossing the finish area in the showgrounds in Swellendam. There will be free Wi-Fi from SWD Connect in the race village, and for teams that have yet to collect their meal packs, these can be done from the Food Lovers branded area by the team captain or the team support driver. Prizes will be awarded to the top teams in the men's, women's, mixed teams. We will also be awarding the very special Van Leeuwen Team Spirit Award. So when you're out on the road, make a noise, encourage others, be bright, be cheery. On behalf of the entire team at the Cape Town Cycle Tour Trust and Pedal Power Association, our huge thanks to our sponsors. Our naming rights sponsors, Old Mutual Wealth, who have been fantastic in the support of this event, to Food Lovers Market, Powerade, Coca-Cola Peninsula Beverages, the amazing town of Swellendam that welcomes us, SWD Connect, Carol Boys, Thule, Van Leeuwen, Hooks Toyota, a huge shout out and thank you for the support. Without these sponsors, events of this nature simply wouldn't be possible. Have an awesome ride out there. Please be safe, be careful, be courteous, and we'll see you on the finish line.